Welcome everyone to episode 11 of Pro Player Plays PGA Tour 2K21. Today we're going to get working again on hole number 3, which we got the very bare bones completed of. We've got a lot of these the swales that we want. We got the big bunker right here. That's going to be the imposing hazard off the tee shot, and then this is going to be the blocker of the second shot, and we talked a lot about it in the last episode. The thing I want to address is I had somebody point out, I talked about clubhouses in reference to Oakland Hills and how there were just not enough assets that I felt could make a good clubhouse right in this location. I was actually pointed in a great direction by JW Texton on TGC Tour Forums page, and he said there was a great course done by Who Dat Matt. He did Bayou Bontemps. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure. It's French, so I'm not going to have a great shot at getting it right. But that clubhouse was spectacular. It was a great course. I really, really liked it, but I really liked that clubhouse. And it gave me a couple ideas. There are canvas walls here in the fences menu. I didn't find. I kind of looked around at all the objects that I could have possibly done, and I didn't see this right here. And this can be perfectly used as kind of a pillar if you put it in a box. You put it one there, you flip it around and do that, you can make a box out of it. And the way he did a lot of that stuff, I'm definitely going to try and use in this clubhouse, but I'm not going to do that today, because today, as it is right now, my planting meter, you can see it's at 26%. We've only got 3 holes fully complete, and we're working on our 4th. Now, I think we're going to be able to save this. A lot of the planting meter has gone to this planting along the coastline, and I think as we get inland, we're going to be able to save a lot of plant meter. So I'm not in worry mode yet. I've been getting a lot of messages that I maybe should be in worry mode, and maybe I should. I'm not going to lie. But as it is right now, I'm feeling okay, but I don't feel comfortable going in on the clubhouse just yet, because if it's going to be a lot of plant meter, I want to save all the plant meter I can for the course, and then I'll get into the clubhouse and everything that goes into it. Another thing I'm planning on is adding houses in through this area and making this almost like a neighborhood. But again, on that same kind of line of reasoning, I'm not going to build any of these houses until I get some of this planting done through here to make this hole look a lot better. So with that being said, let's not waste any further time getting through some of these details. I want to start this episode by fixing the back of this green and kind of the back of this hole and how it connects to hole number 4. Because right now it's looking pretty rough. I just put down the bare bones last episode, and I talked about the concepts that I wanted. I wanted this side to be the bad side of the green to hit it on, even though it was the visible side from the fairway. But this is a little too steep. I want this tee box to be a little bit lower for how I want hole 4 to play, and obviously we have a lot of work to do in here. This is super flat. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to really make sure that this side is good to chip from. Right now, you would not want to be down here. I want this fairway to be raised up, and I want it to be a pretty easy chip from this side. Excuse me. And then on this side, make this a little bit flatter. It's not going to be a good spot to be, but I want this tee box to be about in here. So with that being said, I'm going to get into a time lapse here, and I'm going to start sculpting away some of this, and I'll bring you back in and explain what I've done afterwards. So let's get into some big time sculpting around this green. as you can see in that time lapse, I was struggling a little bit there with some of the sculpting around the back of this green. It's just some of that tedious work that it's hard to describe what you're doing other than just like fiddle around with it and get it the way you like it. The one thing I want to talk about is this little section right here. I added some bunker because I really want to hide that this area is the spot to miss it. And without that bunker there, you can kind of see the fairway peeking over the top of the bunker, and that's not the effect we're going for. So I added a little bit of bunker and I raised that up to just kind of block that in. The other thing I want to talk about now is I need to go into course settings because I made a little bit of a new mistake when starting to design these greens. I have this green speed at 6.5, and I always wanted to design when it's on 8.5, or the fastest that it's going to be in whatever game that I've been designing in, because if I don't, then people are going to turn it up to all the way up speed-wise, and I don't know what the greens are going to look like. I always want to design with the greens at the fastest so that people can slow it down if they want. It's easy to go from slow to fast. It's hard to go from the other way around. It's hard to go when it's faster to slower. So yeah, we've got this here, 8.5, and you can see that that green is a little crazy. I'm scared to look at the other greens. I think they're going to be pretty quick. Yeah, this first green is lightning fast with very few areas to actually keep it. Now, it didn't look this bad when the greens were on 6.5. So I'll have to come through at some point and fix this up, but that's for a future episode. We're not going to worry about it for now. We're going to keep focusing here on hole 3. So let's kind of get in and let's, I don't really want to fully sculpt this green quite yet. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is add some of these bunkers around the back, because I'm going to do a little bit of sculpting afterwards. So I want all of this background sculpting to be done before I get into the kind of minute details of this green, which I think are still going to be the same. I'm still going to have a front section here that's flat, kind of a back section here that's flat, and then tear down here to this kind of section where that pin is going to be looking like it's floating in the middle of nowhere over this bunker, but it's probably going to be the easiest pin on the green. So with that being said, let me go through and place some of this bunker, complete some of this coastline up to about in here, where this 6th green is going to go, this par 3 over the water. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to place some of this bunker, and I'm going to get it around this tee box as well. So let's start to enclose this hole a little bit better than what we've got right now. The waist bunker is starting to come together on this hole, which I think is looking pretty nice. There are obviously going to be some planting through there that's going to make that look a lot better, but just for now to have all that general bunkering in, I think is good. We can go up and once we're done planting and kind of have decided where the planting is going to go, we can go through and clean up that bunker a little bit more. You got some of these dots through here, like this spot here. There's definitely going to be more stuff in that area, so for now that's perfectly okay. We're fine with that. Yeah, we're gonna go through, and let me go through on this backside and make sure that we are we don't have this cliff, because this cliff is a little crazy and it's not going to be there. This hole is going to be a lot smoother than what we've got right now. It's going to be a downhill par 5, and I think this hole is going to be awesome, by the way. It's going to be a downhill look looking straight out over the ocean with this cove kind of in here framing that tee shot. I think it's going to be a super good hole, but that will have to put off. But we definitely don't want some of these cliffs screwing up the view that we've got on the hole we're working on now. So let's clean that up. That looks a little bit better. It's not going to bother me as much that is there. When it was at that cliff, it just looked so artificial. So It's good to get that out of the way. Now I want to start turning our attention. We've got a lot of this green area getting a lot more sculpted and looking more to the point we're at. Let's finish up this green and let's get it all sculpted out, because I don't think I'm going to be making any more big changes to this area that we've got. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we have, so I'm going to sculpt it a little bit better now. I'm going to get this green basically to its final product. I don't think I'm going to change it once I get this all done. So let's go in and let's make this green look a little bit smoother. I am pretty happy with this green right now. I think it looks good. I think this is the proper amount of height. I had to raise up this side just a little bit more because I don't want this slope to be crazy severe. Obviously, it's going to roll off at these speeds. But I don't want this green just getting out of control and having like a pin up here and you're a full 2 feet below it. I think that's a little much for what I want this green to be. But I definitely want there to be tiers and different little areas to hit to, and I think this section of the green is going to be super easy. So let's go ahead and put some pins. Let's move, I think pin 1, I kind of want it to be back in this right corner, bringing a little long right into play. You don't really want to be long right because that'll be a little trickier, but front right, this is no problem. So let's get this pin back into here. Getting this slope into play, don't want to roll this ball back there, so I think that's good. I like this little runoff as well. I'm definitely leaving that there on purpose, because if you get your ball just creeping over it, it's going to roll all the way down into this area and you'll have a very tricky shot. So I kind of like, I guess it's a false front on the back of the green. I'm good with that. So let's go and let's add a couple more pins here. We got pin number 2, and I think I'm going to put pin 2 up in this front section. Let's get it pretty close to this right side. Let's hug this right little slope. Not too crazy tough, but you can use this and kind of get it down there towards the pin, and then it'll roll all the way down there. And I like that. Let's put pin number 3. Let's stick this guy back up in here. We're gonna put this pretty far back, but we're gonna put it on the center because this area is very narrow. That's kind of the thing I was waffling on. I don't know if you can see in the time lapse, I was considering how much room I had here. And I kind of measured it. I've got 7 yards, 21 feet. That's a pretty tight tier, but it's kind of accentuated. You've got an area you're going to kick it down into here with, and it's not going to roll too crazy far. It has to get pretty far right of the hole, rather, to get all the way down this hill. So I'm okay with that area. It's pretty tight, but I'm good with it. So let's put pin 4. Let's kind of stick it into this little bowl right here, kind of in the front. It's not the hardest pin in the world, but I think it is. It'll be a good mix-up because I don't want to fall into the trap of having all pin 4s be super easy. And I think pin 4, if you're playing this in real life, it's tough to get it close just because you can't really see what you're hitting towards. You got this whole section of fairway, and this bunker looks like it's right up against the green, even though you've got a solid. How far do you have? You have almost 15 yards before you get to the flag. So it's just going to be that visual intimidation, I guess. So let's make sure nothing's too close to the edge here. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with what we've got there. Very nice. So now we've got the whole green situated and all figured out. Let's go and let's start looking at this tee shot a little bit because it is very blank right now. All we've got is this tee box up here, and we need to figure out how we're going to make this look a little bit better. So the first thing I want to do is I want to clear a couple of these trees on this right side that are really blocking some of the sunlight. They're not really blocking the sunlight, but they're just overhanging the fairway just that little bit too much. And we're going to have that tree line up the right, but we don't want the trees covering this right side of the fairway. So let's get rid of those. And I think what we're going to do is we are going to extend this waste bunker from here. We're going to kind of loop it around this side and have it connect up in this area to this bunker, which is where the carts are going to be coming from. They'll be coming this direction, come up to this tee, and then they'll come to this side of the fairway, and they'll be able to enter here and go up towards the green on this left side. That's going to be the plan. Let's get everything sculpted right. We're going to have to do a little bit with this tee box as well. This is going to be the back tee box, and I think my plan is to actually connect up a box. It'll be a little bit longer of a box that connects with this 8th tee, and I might even extend it out backwards, even though I'm not going to move this tee any further back. I think it'll just be one of those things where we could move it back if we wanted to. Say if you were to host a tournament here, maybe if you got this hole downwind, you'd be like, all right, let's move this tee back into this area. But I don't really, when I'm just designing it here, I don't want it to be really any further than about this line is 285. I don't want it to be any further than 285. So let's get that tee box in, and then let's place some of this bunker, and let's get it sculpted, and let's get it to closer to a finished product so that we can start planting this thing. Let's do it. We got a lot of this bunker placed in and these tee boxes built up, and I think these tee boxes actually look pretty darn good. I'm going to have some planting here so it won't be such a sharp edge. I could actually lower this one down just a little bit, so let's actually do that here really quick. And just there's going to be a big old general a lowering here just to get this down a little bit more. Get it down about a foot, and then let's raise up the bunker just so that we get some of this edge up just a little bit. Let's get this up into here. You can raise up as well. That didn't quite do what we were hoping. Let's fiddle around just a little bit more. A lot of this is just like guesswork, kind of just fiddling and making sure everything fits. I think that slope is just a little bit more gradual and would definitely be more reasonable on the course. So I like that. I can fix this up just a little bit while I'm looking at it as well. This is just a little bit too steep of a slope. Get it down into there. Alright, that looks a little bit better to me. That looks a little more natural. I wanted to raise up this side because this is going to be the tree line on the left side. It's going to be up above this bunker. And my plan was to have some houses in this area, but with the plant meter the way it is, we're at 26% through 3 holes basically fully planted. And like I said earlier in the episode, I think we're going to be okay. I hope we're going to be okay. But I don't want to put any houses down until I get everything else planted. So keep that in mind while I go here. I'm leaving this I'm leaving some gaps through the trees is my plan. so that you can see the houses. You know that there is like residential, I guess, along this side of the hole. But that's kind of the thing I'm waiting on, just so I can see where we get the plant meter. I'm really curious to see, once I've fully planted this hole, how many objects, what percent on the objects meter we are, because when this hole's done, we're going to have a pretty good idea of what kind of percent we can expect from some of the rest of the holes, and I'm hoping it's less than like 4% of the objects meter we get to use on this hole. I don't know how realistic that is, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to see what happens. This is the other thing I wanted to mention. I didn't fully get here. I kind of skipped over it earlier. I don't really like this little piece of rough right here. I kind of want to move this fairway in just a little bit and then extend the bunker just a little bit. I don't want this random knob of rough, if that makes sense. So let's delete this waypoint. Delete this waypoint, and delete this waypoint. Let's get it just a little bit smoother, and then I'm going to smooth everything out again. So we've got a little bit of a poke out, and that's okay, but it was just a little too pointy for what I was looking for. So let's get that bunker brush, and let's extend this bunker up now just a little bit, so that it fills that gap and it doesn't make it look too awkward. I think that looks even better just now. Just kind of fits that area better, and it doesn't have this awkward little thing sticking out. I want to also, while I'm here, I want to raise up this section of fairway ever so slightly, because it's a little bit sharp of a drop off from that bunker, and I think it wouldn't be the most realistic to have such a crazy slope off the backside of a bunker. You definitely would see it in places, but I think we can make that transition just a little bit smoother by kind of flattening this out. And I think you definitely see something like that. It was a little bit more exaggerated before. I like that change. I think that looks a lot better. And now that I'm looking at it, this little bump, that's just a little too steep for me. So I think I'm going to lower this down. Let's get this down to there where it does kick left, but it doesn't just like poke out. I think even just that one little change makes that look just a little bit better, a little bit more realistic, and not as aggressive of a slope. Yeah, I like that. I think that's looking pretty good. So to close today's episode, I think the final thing I want to do is I want to plant the tree line on both sides. I'm not going to get into the undergrowth. It's kind of what I've done in a lot of these episodes, is I've planted the tree line at the end of this episode where I kind of touch everything up and get it ready to be planted. Let's get this tree line in, and we'll have a better idea of how this hole is going to look. So without any further ado, let's get that in, and let's start framing this hole up a lot better than it is right now. One thing I forgot to add as I'm going here, the tree that I want to add is actually, as we get a little further inland here, I want to add some pine trees, because in the southeast region, you definitely get pine trees in this part of the country, and not so much along the coast. You wouldn't really see them over near the ocean. Definitely down, excuse me, by Sea Island, you wouldn't really see pines on the ocean, but you definitely see them on the inside, like kind of away from the water. And that's kind of my plan. I want to start mixing in a couple of pine trees as well, and just add a little bit of different color to the tops of these trees. And I think this darker green pine tree, there's only a few of them in the designer, but I think these are going to look pretty good when you contrast them with some of the trunk colors. It looks a little bit different, and I think the leaf colors also look a lot better. So I'm going to intersperse a few of these through this tree line, definitely on the left side, and definitely on some of these inland holes like 4, definitely on 8, 9, 10, 11. All these inland holes up here, I think I'm going to add in a whole bunch of these pine trees. And when we're now down near the ocean, it'll probably be more of just the oak trees and the tropical trees that I'm planting. So just so you kind of are caught up with my line of thinking as I go through and place some of these pine trees. think that just placing some of these trees has really helped with this tee shot. It just makes it look so much more complete. And the one thing that I'm holding off judgment on is this back section. Well, let me first place this tree, because I want to talk about this a little bit. I think I want this tree, I want there to be a central tree that's kind of the it kind of splits, it makes it feel like a split dogleg rather. I don't really know how to describe it. It keeps the wide visual, but it kind of breaks it up. It's like, this is where I'm hitting my tee shot to, this is where I'm wanting to end up. And I think this tree, just one in the middle, provides that little bit of split, I guess, is the word I would go for. And I don't really know any other way to say it. I just think it looks pretty good. I think it helps frame the hole a little bit. It helps frame the tee shot, and it helps frame that sight line that we've been wanting to protect, which is from here up to the green, where you can just see the whole entire hole out in front of you. And I think that tree does a good job of breaking it up, making it so that you're not just taking everything all in at once. You have kind of different things to look at. So I like that tree there. I think that looks pretty good. I kind of like it being tall as well, kind of being just the whole centerpiece of the hole is this tree. But then the thing that I'm reserving judgment on for hole 3 is this section here. This is all going to be planted. It's all going to be another golf hole, and it's going to have a tree line of its own behind here. And right now, when you're standing on this tee shot, it obviously looks pretty blank because you're just shooting off into space. But when that hole number 5, gets completed, I think this hole is going to greatly benefit. Sorry, excuse me. Is going to greatly benefit from having that hole completed. So, with that being said, I'm pretty happy with the progress we've made in today's episode. I haven't done any of the brushwork underneath here. I didn't really leave as many gaps as I maybe should have if I wanted to place houses here in the future. But we can kind of focus on that in the future. If I really do have enough plant meter, I will go back and I will place the houses and I'll redo some of this tree line. But for now, we're just going to leave it kind of blocked off and kind of get everything focused on getting these holes complete. So yeah, I think this is a good spot to leave it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could, and you like the content you're seeing, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I'd really appreciate it. Last thing, I really want to thank JW Texan for pointing me out that clubhouse. I will definitely be using a lot of the concepts that Who Dat Matt used in his clubhouse, and so I want to thank you again for pointing me in the right direction there. It really felt like now I can kind of get after that clubhouse if I have enough plant meter by the end of all of this. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.